Welcome, welcome everybody. Welcome to another Community Fit, and in particular, an Adjusting to Change Toolkit class. I am your host, James, and here we are. Bob the dog is here, but Bob, come over here. You gonna come over today, Bob? You you joining us? No, he's not joining right now. He'll be over later, guaranteed. So, welcome to another class. Oh, here he is. Here he is. Those Welcome, Bob. Those of you who come for Bob, here's your Bob sighting. Enjoy it. Get your relaxation on by gazing at Bob. They're saying hi, Bob. You're getting hearts and all the stuff. Okay, welcome to Adjusting to Change Toolkit class, the class all about nervous system regulation. And this series, this 6-week series, we're really talking about cognitive appraisal and reappraisal. And this is week 3 of this series. Give me an emoji, a thumbs up, a heart, a something to let me know if this is your very first class with us. Any first timers here today? Okay, we got a couple. Got it. Okay, so welcome, new folks. We're going to catch you up. And with that, this class runs like a course. So things build over time. Doesn't mean that you can't join, doesn't mean that you can't share along the way, but you will get more out of it the more classes you come to, because each little cohort, each little 6-week course is designed to build upon itself, and those little courses build upon themselves as well. No worries, soon enough we have a humongous library on YouTube that you can drop into anytime. Has a lot of these practices and other classes on there. And soon enough, we'll have the 2025 classes on there, and you can kind of catch up on all of that. Here's how we're catching up this week. Week number 1, we went over the nervous system toolkit and we kind of broke it down. They said, "You're so, so cute, Bob." He says, "Thank you." Um, so we went into nervous system toolkit work and really worked through that and talked about that. We're going to go over all of it, but we're not going to go into super detail. We're just going to jump right into the practices today. Last week we talked about emotional literacy. It's probably the second or third time this year that we've talked about that in depth, and we're going to touch on that. But let's catch up with those of you who are new as to what is emotional literacy. Emotional literacy is being able to understand the feelings you're feeling and comprehend and contextualize the feelings and emotions other people are having. To kind of go back to last week's session, on average, most of us are able to identify within ourselves and other people 3 emotions out of a possible approximately 34,000 emotions. The emotions we are most apt to be able to name and articulate are mad, sad, and happy. Those are 3 out of 34,000. And so getting better at articulating and giving language to the emotions we're having is super important for navigating through stressful scenarios and change, through being able to heal and being able to replicate the emotions you want to have. So today we're going to start off with grounding ourselves, some of the emotional regulation practices, our nervous system toolkit. And then we're going to go into some focusing practices and possibly even some guided meditation work around cognitive appraisal, which is, what am I feeling inside? What's the context that is happening to me, or one that is in my brain, right? Because in previous classes, we've talked about how things that are happening in real time and things that you are recalling in your memory live in the moment in your body. Your body has a very hard time distinguishing between something that is actually happening and something you are anxious about happening, or you are perseverating or recalling that has happened. See post-traumatic stress, right? And so we're going to kind of break that down a little bit today, because that is exactly what cognitive appraisal is. And we'll talk about that more when we get there. But for right now, go ahead and get comfortable, whatever that means for you. I'm going to guide us through some of the nervous system toolkit, which becomes a resource for cognitive reappraisal, which we'll get to a little bit maybe at the end of today and a lot next week. Okay? So as we go through this toolkit, if you are new to this class, my advocation is just follow along with whatever I'm doing and remember, recall a few of them and keep practicing them. Again, if you visit our library on YouTube, the Community Fit Western Health Advantage, Community Fit Library, we have a ton of work on nervous system regulation. This class has fallen under the name umbrella a few different iterations, but we probably have hundreds of videos on there on nervous system regulation work. So what is the toolkit? The toolkit is a way of thinking about somatic practices or physical practices you can do for mindfulness. Mindfulness is not the same as meditation. So these are things like breath work. These are things like sensory foraging, therapeutic touch, movement practices, and vocalization practices. We're going to move a little quicker through this today because we've been repeating it for a while, and we'll add to it as we go. First things first is to just take an inventory of your body. What feels tight? What feels loose? What is the general vibe of the moment? How is your breath right now? How is your heart right now? Do your shoulders feel up in your ear? Like, think of one particular marker. Maybe it's your shoulders. Maybe it's, I feel disconnected from my breath. Or maybe I just feel upset or super happy right now. Pick one of those markers, and we're going to do some of these practices. And then the ask is for you to notice on the other side of the practices, how did that practice shift how you're feeling inside, right? Here we go. Take that inventory. We're going to start off with a breath work. The first breath work we're going to go through is going to be physiological side. Double inhale, single exaggerated exhale. It's a big inhale, quick full inhale, long exaggerated exhalation. We're going to do it 3 times together. Ready? Inhale, inhale, exhale. 2 more. And notice anything you need to notice about that. Just sitting with it for a moment. And then let's try a different breathwork practice. So the second breathwork practice we're going to go through, and this I haven't taught this one in a long time, but it's just percolating up for me right now. It's alternate nostril breathing, which really comes from more of an Ayurvedic or yogic practice, pranayama practice, but there's a lot of benefits to it. Might be harder to do, so this will be a really good one to notice. Does this breath work, a lot of research done on breath work, does this breath work help you or make it worse for you? It's about a 50-50 chance. So if in the middle of this, you're like, I don't like this, feel free to not do it. Maybe go back to physiological sigh or just take a pause. Here's how we're going to do this. You're going to take your thumb and put it on your right nostril and kind of close it up. And then we're going to take an inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And we're going to do this side. We're going to do sort of a deconstructed pranayama. We're going to do this nostril, left nostril, about 3 breaths. And then we'll do 2 breaths of just like regular, quick breaths of like regular human being breathing, both nostrils. And then we'll switch into the other nostril for 3. It's like a quickened version, right? So thumb, 3 breaths. Regular human being breath for a couple. And then let's switch sides. 3 on this side. Regular human being breath. Now you can distinguish, did I like breathwork A or B better, and which one should I remember? And then we'll move on to sensory foraging. First thing is start to just look around your space and just begin to objectively name the things in the space. And that might sound like there's a plant, then there's a closet, and there's a piece of art, and there's a wall, and a door, and a ceiling, and a vent, and a box, and a plant, and some books. I'm just looking around my space. And maybe as you continue to look around your space, maybe you spot something that brings a little joy, that is beautiful to the eyes, that warms your heart, is a fond memory. Maybe it's a photo, it's a book, it's a dog, it's a cat, it's a picture somewhere. You're just going to look. And the invitation is just to notice what goes on in your nervous system, in your body, as you admire or kind of gaze upon the thing that you like. And then maybe just continue with the space. Sensory foraging, just paying attention to the things that are coming through the senses of the body. Therapeutic touch. Let's bring the hands together, get them warmed up. Place your nice warm hands either on the jaw, the throat, the chest, or the belly. Those are kind of our major points there. You can just do like a hold, or you might want to do a tap. Could be a palm, like an open palm, or like a gentle fist. Could be some fingertips. Right? So where does it feel important for you? And if you're new, maybe it's just a hold. Maybe it's just being here. Next one is going to be movement. You can just rock side to side or forward and back. You don't have to do both. Both aren't right. So which one feels the best to you? Which one feels like the word that always comes up, which one feels like a resource? Like you are needing something and this is the thing that's filling that need. Sometimes you need to just try a few things on to figure it out. Now, this is probably the simplest of them, but we could go into a pandiculation like we practiced last week, which is like a stretch, yawn. Inspiration is like a cat waking up, dog waking up, you waking up in the morning. Or it might be a rotation. I'm going to rotate to the right and allow my left butt cheek to lift and take a couple of breaths. And then the other direction. One more to each side, right and left. And back to center. And which ones have worked best for you so far, right? We had a breathwork category, we had a sensory foraging, we had a therapeutic touch, and we had a movement. Those are not all of the possible exercises. Those are the buckets and some examples to fit inside of those buckets. The last category is going to be vocalizations, which is simply exactly what it sounds like, making noises. Could be words, could be phrases, could be songs, could be poems, could be whatever it is, right? It's literally making a sound. At the lowest common denominator version, it's going to be humming, groaning, moaning, sighing. So take an inhale. Little sigh. Hmm. Or maybe you feel like humming. Maybe we even try coupling some of these things, meaning doing a couple of the practices at the same time. Could be holding, therapeutic touch, and humming. Could be a pandiculation and some orientation, looking around. Could be closing your eyes and listening to the sound of your own breath. Good. Now, for yourself and for today, think about what one practice or coupled practice seemed to work the best for you. Like, which one moved you in a direction where you enjoyed, right? Where it was like, oh, I can feel that. Oh, I'm noticing that that feels like some version of a support mechanism. That's like a really positive self-medication, if you will. And remember that. We're going to resource that in a bit. For now, we're going to go into the spaciousness practice because we're going to start talking about cognitive appraisal and reappraisal. So let's contextualize that and then move through some practices that kind of um, embody that lesson a little bit, and we can build upon it for today and next week. So for cognitive appraisal, you have different versions of it, but you really have like a primary and a secondary appraisal. And a primary appraisal of what is cognitive appraisal? A cognitive appraisal is I'm having an experience, you're having an experience right now, and you're trying to make sense out of the experience, not in like a really smart, logical storyteller sort of way, but in a really quick snapshot sort of way. So, anecdotally, I am in a conversation with this person, and this person says something that is triggering to me in the moment. And you can decide if that's a big trigger or a small trigger, meaning that they say something, they do something, I perceive something, and it makes me feel it brings a negative response into my system. And we've all had that moment, right? They've said something and it hits you in a way, or they don't say something and it hits you in a way, whatever that is, right? So the so while of that is all happening, right? You are in yourself assessing, am I safe here or am I not safe here? What emotion is that bringing up? And for most of us, it's a mad, sad, or happy sensation or emotion that it's bringing up. And there's really a much broader landscape and many more possibilities there. But our brains are designed to kind of zero in and focus on safety. And so, cognitive appraisal at its core, primary appraisal is as something is happening and my brain is trying to make sense of said thing. In that moment, does this thing feel like a threat? Does it feel like a challenge? Or is it irrelevant? There's not even like a happy category, right? Is this thing a threat, meaning my life is in danger right now, or a challenge? I'm going to have to work to overcome this thing, or absolutely irrelevant. It doesn't even matter, and we can proceed as normal. Secondary appraisal that your brain and body go through is how am I resourced in the moment? What tools do I have to navigate whatever I'm perceiving in the moment, right? So let's take a absolute threat. When your body experiences something that it perceives as an absolute threat, it will assess, do I have an opportunity to fight or flee in this moment? Can I get up and run, or do I need to fight this? And it might be a physical fight. If it's like a physical threat, it might be a verbal fight. It may be some version of that, or a dismissiveness, or get up and get out of there, right? If the threat is overwhelming, if I know there is no possibility, we will go into a freeze response, a physical freeze response. That's like you see the train coming and you can't move out of the way and you just like, I'm ready to surrender, right? Possums are sort of the pinnacle of that. And so you can have a physical freeze response, or you could have like a verbal freeze response, right? Like that's like ghosting. That's dismissing or vanishing someone. It's shutting down in a conversation, shutting down in a relationship, shutting down at work. And we all know what that feels like. When we have something like a challenge, it might be I need to think about how to navigate around this. What stories do I have? What tools do I have? If I feel like it's a challenge to me personally in my body, I might now begin to think about what somatic tools do I have? How do I overcome and navigate through this, right? It feels like this is going to take some work, but I got this. And then irrelevant is usually just like operational mode as is. Like I didn't even have to think about it. It just happened and I get to navigate through it, right? So those are sort of like big picture, and I know it kind of moved quickly there. Those are big pictures of what is cognitive appraisal. Now let's turn that into an embodied practice and kind of string those things along. I invite you to close your eyes if it feels safe, but you figure out what works best for you. Here's how we're going to get there through the body. I want you to notice somewhere in your body that feels exceptionally spacious. Somewhere in your body that you notice as having the quality of spaciousness. And you're just going to notice that sensation of spaciousness. And here's where that emotional literacy component comes in. How do we get there? How do we begin to understand nuance? Well, we start with a felt sense perspective. So here's how we do that in the body. Notice that sense of spaciousness. What does spaciousness feel like in your body? How do you notice that area as spacious? Does it feel warm? Does it feel cool? Does it feel like morning or evening or midday? Is it a summer or winter feeling? Wood or metallic? Blue, red, purple, white, black, rainbow, pastel? What is the quality of that? Does it have a sound associated? Does it have a memory associated? Does it have a memorized movie associated to it? Is there a song? Like, felt sense doesn't have to make sense. It is in the moment noticing bits and pieces. It's like little clips of aliveness. And your only job right now is to collect them. And they are not going to be a smart sentence. Might sound like, hey, what does spaciousness feel like? To me, it feels almost like the colors of like Adobe, a soft, warm, but a cool breeze mixed in. There's an oceanic feel to it, but it's at a distance and I can hear it, but I can't smell it. So it's just going through and kind of categorizing. And all of us, if we held a conversation about it, all of us would probably say something different. It's a felt sense. And so you're just beginning to categorize, how does this thing feel in your body? What words? And just begin to like appreciate that. And this exercise, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. But it's about just getting in and practicing. Good. Now we're going to put that practice over here. And if you're enjoying that practice, stay there. We're going to come back to it. But let's switch gears a little bit. I invite you to think about a time that you felt noticeably mad, sad, or happy. I would encourage you not to go on a scale of 1 to 10 to anything above a 5, not the most joyful, exuberant thing you've ever felt or the most devastatingly sad moment you've ever had, but a memory that you can recall that feels distinctly at about a 3 or 4 level and that you would categorize as mad, sad, or happy. And then if it feels safe, close your eyes and begin to just bring up whatever memories were there. And maybe you notice as you think of that, and I'm going to just pick a happy moment. Maybe as you notice the happy moment, you notice somewhere in your body begin to light up. Maybe it's a chest feeling that you feel more aware of. Maybe you feel your face smile or your hands kind of warm. Maybe there's a void or a coldness somewhere or warmth or a metallic something. You're just noticing that how that memory is making you physiologically feel in your body. The term we would use is interoception. What is going on inside that I feel associated with this memory? And then is there another word besides mad, sad, or happy that can be associated with this? Maybe it was happy and now you're like, "Oh, I'm delighted at this thing that's happening. I'm pleasantly surprised at this thing that was happening. I am feeling loved. I am feeling, I'm not going to give you any more words, but you can kind of see it's like we had this core thing and then we're building outwards. And notice if that shifts anything in the body. Again, this is not, this is simple. This is so, so, so simple to do. And simple things are often very hard to do. And so this is a practice, and you're probably really not good at it right now. But given time, you will be better at it. And I'm giving you the steps to get better at it. So you're noticing this sensation. You're giving it some language, much in the same way that we gave spaciousness extra language. Now, you can be in that spaciousness practice. You can be over here in that primary practice of just noticing the words that are coming up. I'm going to go back to the spaciousness practice. Can you notice somewhere in the body that feels the opposite of spacious? And give it some language. So my guess is if spacious felt cool, lack of spacious probably feels hot, or vice versa. If spaciousness felt like the color black or white, it probably feels the opposite, or you would label it the opposite, or it would have a distinctly different feeling. And so I'm noticing a lack of spaciousness in my left hip, and it feels like a rock. It feels metallic. It feels heavy. I'm having a hard time even picturing it. It feels like a wooden thing going into my leg. It feels like I'm sinking, and sinking feels sad. That's how I might process it. But can you notice around that spacious thing or that non-spacious thing, the reason you're able to notice it is spaciousness all around it. It's like how I would be able to notice a tree in a field. I can only notice it because of the lack of trees around it. So I'm able to notice spaciousness and I'm able to notice lack of spaciousness because they're in opposition of each other and in deep relationship to each other. I'm noticing the dense solid thing because all around it is something that feels much more spacious and open. And so I can be in that practice of noticing spaciousness and not spaciousness, or I can jump back into the other practice. And the reason I'm able to spot that extremely happy moment is because all around it, temporally before it and after it, is either moments that feel irrelevant or sad. And I'm noticing him as a timeline, and that I'm not stuck in any of them, that they live in a continuum with each other. And so I'm just noticing. I'm either noticing in my body two things that are happening at the same time, or I'm noticing in a memory, in a moment, two things that are happening in relationship to each other. And I invite you to play with whichever practice feels more doable for you. Some people are really good about sensing into their body. This is probably the practice for you. Some people carry with them very vivid memories and are very attached. And this practice over here is probably the practice for you. And I'm not with you for the rest of the day and for the rest of the week. In fact, our time here is up. But I invite you to continue to explore and play whichever of these practices make the most sense for you. And if you get stuck, and if you feel kind of yucky going through it, or it feels difficult, know that you have resources, somatic toolkits, right? You can do the breath work, you can do the movement, so on and so on and so on. So have a wonderful, hopeful long weekend for the majority of you. I'll stick around for whatever questions you got. I see a few have come in. Let's see where we're at. Bob, so cute. We got that one. Uh, did I teach Pilates? I did. I did teach Pilates for a lot of years. I owned a studio that was Pilates and movement based and lots of other things as well. And that closed down in what is this year? In 2023, that closed down. I'm really glad you had a good session. Yup, there I was. Okay, everybody. Thank you so, so, so much. Yeah, and you can find a lot if you're into Pilates. I've got a lot of resources out there. Pilates Anytime. There's probably some free videos. There's probably a lot of videos out there of me teaching a lot of different things for a lot of different years. Okay, everybody, I'm out of here. Thank you so, so, so much. I'm glad it was helpful. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody.